They called him Mute, though he wasn't. The nickname followed Eli through the halls like a shadow, whispered first, then spoken boldly, until it became his identity to everyone else. He hadn't always been quiet. Before the accident, his teachers remembered a boy who raised his hand too often, who talked too fast when he was excited. But the night his parents died on a rain-slicked road, something inside him folded inward. Words began to feel heavy, dangerous, like if he let them out, they might carry the pain with them. So he stopped speaking unless he had to. At school, silence was interpreted as weakness. Students leaned into it with cruelty sharpened by boredom. They exaggerated their lip movements when talking to him, clapped near his ears, laughed when he didn't flinch. Someone once snapped their fingers in front of his eyes and asked if he was buffering. The laughter that followed echoed long after the bell rang. Teachers tried at first, gently encouraging him, then grew impatient. "You need to participate, Eli," they'd say, marking him down for class discussions he never joined. His report card spoke louder than he ever did, full of comments about unrealized potential. Group projects were the worst. He'd be assigned last, if at all, treated like extra weight to carry. When he tried to write his ideas down, no one read them. When he pointed out mistakes, they rolled their eyes. Eventually, he stopped trying to be seen. Instead, he watched. He noticed how people lied with their smiles, how panic crept into voices before faces admitted fear. He memorized hallways, exits, routines. During lunch, while others shouted over each other, Eli sat alone, sketching floor plans on napkins, replaying conversations in his head, perfecting answers no one asked him to give. Silence became his shield. Behind it, he learned patience, awareness, restraint. To everyone else, he was empty, broken, forgettable. But inside, Eli was listening to everything, waiting though even he didn't know for what. The fire alarm shattered the routine of finals week with the violence no one expected. At first, students groaned, assuming it was another drill meant to steal precious minutes from their exams. Then the smell hit sharp, burning, unmistakably real. Smoke seeped under classroom doors, thin at first, then thick enough to sting eyes and scrape throats. Panic spread faster than the fire itself. Chairs scraped, papers flew, voices collided in frantic confusion. Eli didn't freeze. While others rushed the nearest exits, he stayed still for half a second, listening. He heard coughing down the hall, the crackle of something giving way, the distant shout of a teacher trying to keep order and failing. He knew this wing of the building better than most. He'd walked it slowly 100 times, counting doors, noting which locks stuck, which stairwell lights flickered. While students slammed into a side exit, Eli saw the smoke thicken there first. He shook his head, waving his arms, but no one noticed. They were too busy shouting. A beam crashed near the science lab, sending sparks and screams through the corridor. Eli ran toward the sound. Inside, a girl was crouched low, coughing violently, eyes wide with terror. He didn't waste time explaining. He tore off his hoodie, soaked it under a lab sink, pressed it gently over her mouth and nose. He pointed down, motioned for her to stay low. She hesitated, then trusted him. Eli guided her and two others through a narrow maintenance corridor hidden behind a storage door most students didn't know existed. Smoke followed them, but thinner now. One student began to sob, another panicked and tried to turn back. Eli grabbed his wrist, locked eyes with him, and shook his head firmly. There was no yelling, no speeches, just urgency in his movements, certainty in his gaze. When they reached the service exit, firefighters were already forcing their way inside. Eli waved them over, pointed back toward the trapped wing, tracing quick directions in the air. The firefighters understood. As students poured out behind him, Eli turned back once more, scanning the smoke-filled hallway, refusing to leave until he was sure no one else needed him. In the chaos of noise and fear, his silence was the clearest thing there was. The day after the fire, the school felt altered, as if the smoke had burned away more than damaged walls. Charred lockers and blackened ceilings were taped off, but it was the silence that lingered most. Students walked slower, spoke softer, whispers replaced laughter. In every conversation, one name kept surfacing: Eli. Security footage played on the local news showed him moving through the haze with calm precision, guiding students, pointing firefighters in the right direction, vanishing back into danger when others ran away. The same people who once mocked his quiet now watched him on screens, stunned. Administrators called an assembly. Eli stood on the stage under bright lights that made his palms sweat. Applause filled the gym, awkward at first, then thunderous. He didn't know where to look. Faces that once turned away were now fixed on him, full of admiration, guilt, curiosity. The principal spoke about bravery, about instinct, about heroism. That didn't ask permission. Awards were mentioned, scholarships hinted at. A reporter lifted a microphone, asking if he wanted to say anything. For a moment, Eli considered staying silent. It would have been easy, even safe. But something inside him, the same thing that had pushed him into the smoke, urged him forward. He stepped closer to the microphone. His voice, when it came, surprised even him, steady, quiet, but unshaking. "I was never silent," he said. The gym stilled. "I was always paying attention. I tried to speak before. I tried in other ways." He paused, scanning the crowd. Some students lowered their eyes. Silence doesn't mean nothing is there. Sometimes it means you didn't stop to listen. No one laughed. No one interrupted. The truth settled over them, heavy and undeniable. Afterward, people approached him differently. They asked questions and waited for answers. Teachers listened. Students nodded instead of mocking. Eli didn't become loud. He didn't need to. His life didn't transform overnight, but the world around him shifted just enough to let him breathe. As he left the gym, the nickname that once defined him no longer followed. His footsteps echoed alone, confident. Words had finally been spoken, but it was his actions that had already said everything.